This year has been a really weird year for Gabbie Hanna. Gabbie is somebody that has been known on social media for so long now. She is probably one of the more famous content creators for the bad reasons and for the good reasons. She obviously started off in Vine in around 2014 and then just progressively got bigger and bigger and bigger. But then you get to around 2018 to 2020, and from that moment onwards, it's pretty much been non-stop controversy since that very moment of time. And now in 2026, Gabbie is kind of in a place of where you could say that she is in a bit of a lolcow status. When you hear Gabbie Hanna, you don't expect it to be, oh, she's released a new fantastic video, she's released a new fantastic song. You expect it to be, oh, Gabbie Hanna has done something which is just absolutely insane and the entire internet is now going to get outraged. And today, that is the same thing, but what's confusing is this is a story that goes back over half a decade now. Because yes, Gabbie has been doing this for so long. Remember that infamous keyboard typing video? That video is over 5 years old at this point. Gabbie has been just going at this for so unbelievably long now. And honestly, it still does kind of shock me and surprise me when a new story like this comes out. And before we even get into what we're talking about today, I want to throw back to this post that Gabbie made on her Patreon earlier this year in March of 2026, which was headlined with "To the lovers and the haters." Now, this post is pretty much Gabbie complaining about the world, complaining about how she's been treated, and she starts it off by saying, "Alright guys, so I've been thinking and praying a lot today, especially after this morning in the group chats." Now firstly, this kind of goes into what we're going to be speaking about today. For a very long time now, Gabbie Hanna has had parasocial connections to her fans, and look, I know it's a big thing for a lot of content creators to be in group chats with fans where occasionally they'll just be like, "Hey, hope you guys are having a good day." That's a relatively normal thing that's happened in the social media space for a very long time now. But what we're going to see with Gabbie in this video is basically the worst extent of where that parasocial connection can lead to, and I found this post quite interesting given what it entails, that Gabbie is still in 2026 in group chats discussing deep personal things like this, where she says, "I'm obviously still really triggered by all of this, and I've been allowing it to pull me into a continual state of sin. It's not okay to hate. Today I've been crying out to God, please remove the hate and unforgiveness from my heart. It is not okay to want to retaliate and hurt people back. It is too easy to instantly revert back to a place of wishing I could change things that are out of my control. Everyone telling me, fans and haters alike, that I need to move on are 100% correct. I am trying so hard. I have been trying so hard. It is so hard to move on when your abusers, the people who have slandered and hated their way into their careers, are so publicly present, and their fans have already been weaponized against you. It hurts me to see my abusers thrive. It is envy. Even though I do not want what they have, it is rage that their toxic behaviors are actively celebrated while I was painted as a manipulative, money-hungry, evil, deceitful, toxic, hateful, abusive person for insert anything from the past decade of endless harassment here." Now, I find this post very interesting with what we're going to get into today, because everything we're going to be talking about seemingly is Gabbie Hanna doing everything that she just complained about in that post onto other people. You see, on June 2nd, 2026, a content creator called Alyssa Perrine released a video called "The Real Reason I Left the Gabbie Hanna Fandom." And this video made, minor waves. I saw some content creators talking about it. And when it, got sent to me, I just thought to myself, I'm not always the biggest fan of former fans coming out of, fandoms and saying things because, you don't necessarily know what's true and what isn't true. And I think Gabbie Hanna is a bit of an easy target at this point. Obviously, I was willing to listen, and listen I did. In the video, Alyssa speaks about how people were scared of Gabbie Hanna in her fandom because she would often lash out at nothing, which, I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, that does sound like Gabbie Hanna. It's happened to me personally. I have to flash back to a moment in, I believe, 2021 or 2022, where Gabbie got really mad at me personally for not making a YouTube video defending her against the people that don't like her. Which back then was really frustrating to me because it really just said to me the only reason Gabbie Hanna Hanna was even friendly with me was because, well, she just wanted to cozy up to a commentary channel who would hopefully defend her in the future when she was in controversy. So yeah, with what Alyssa said there, it doesn't really surprise me. There was also mentions about favoritism. Alyssa claims Gabbie would give the most attention to the fans who had spent their most money on the Patreon. They mentioned one instance where Gabbie invited a fan to her house. Now yes, obviously this is quite inappropriate. I don't think that financial incentives should be used into creating parasocial relationships like Gabbie was doing there. But of course, this is just an allegation, but it does seem very, very, I guess, likely in my opinion, given some of the things that we're going to get into later in this video. Alyssa also got onto the fact that she used to apparently work for Gabbie Hanna at one point, and Alyssa stated that a lot of people do hire fans and that's normal, but inviting them over when they work for you is weird and a power imbalance. There was also conversation about Jesse's smiles and Gabbie's controversy there, and Alyssa also stated that she developed an ulcer over the stress of that fandom after being doxxed and harassed by YouTubers. Now yeah, as I said, I saw this and I didn't really want to cover it, to be honest with you. I thought it was quite an interesting video, but it didn't necessarily really mean that much to me. I know it sounds bad, but I really just wasn't interested. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe we're going for a heat wave right now in London. Maybe I was just like, I can't be bothered that week. But yeah, I just kind of avoided it and thought, I'll leave that to other people to cover. But what I did find interesting was people in the comments actually clapping back against Alyssa, saying things such as, "Oh Alyssa, we were there. We remember what happened with Jen. We remember how involved you were." And yeah, this does start to tie into the main topic of today's video. But before we get into that, we need to go through Alyssa's response, where Alyssa states, involved ... in the person who doxed he, I think they mean me, harassed me, lied about sending me legal papers, someone who told a survivor that she's worthless for leaving her and that she didn't care that she was a survivor, she'll harass her anyway. Honey, the videos are, and then it just continues. And then there was more comments about that Jen individual stating, really interesting that I do not see Jen Dent's comment. You remember her, right? The woman you accused of assault with no evidence. Then it turns into an even bigger fest because people were then coming after that commenter. And pretty much what this felt like was a lot of fan bases coming together that were just very frustrated at each other. You had individuals from Colleen Ballinger's fan base, you had individuals from Gabbie Hanna's previous fan base, all just kind of getting very frustrated at each other, because yes, at one point of time it was very clear that in both of those fan bases there were a lot of toxic relationships and friendships and parasocial dynamics, and naturally over the years that has manifested into a lot of negative feelings towards each other. And whilst I'm not going to go into the specifics surrounding Alyssa and all of the other individuals mentioned here, I think it is very important to note that yes, there clearly was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes involving Gabbie Hanna, involving Colleen Ballinger, and in particular the fan bases that those two content creators were very connected to. Obviously, a few years ago, Colleen Ballinger went through her own controversy. Well, I say controversy, it was probably one of the biggest pieces of drama that's ever happened on the internet. But yeah, it was all about how Colleen had a very, very disturbing parasocial relationship with her audience, to the point of where she was accused of grooming and plenty of other things. And now, whilst it isn't that similar thing with Gabbie Hanna, it's clear what we're going to get into today is a lot of similar accusations surrounding the idea of a parasocial connection between Gabbie and some of her fans. And this actually led to a content creator who I remember from the past coming back after 4 years of no videos, all about Gabbie Hanna, and then a few months later, Gabbie Hanna's ex-fan, Alyssa Perrine, who obviously made that video all about the Gabbie Hanna fanbase. And pretty much what they say in this video is that yes, this ex-fan is the worst and takes zero accountability. If anything, the major suggestion, as you can see in the thumbnail, is the fact that this fan is seemingly worse than Gabbie Hanna. Some people in the comments were stating I was called insensitive for pointing out that she did literal crimes as an adult woman in the name of a celebrity who barely knew her. Another commenter states, I thought it was really sus that Alyssa never specified what harmful things they did. I got so frustrated that I started saying out loud, but what did you do though? When are you gonna say it? And yeah, this is the general consensus here of there clearly was a toxic dynamic in Gabbie Hanna's fan base between the content creator and the fan base, but also at the same time, whilst there definitely was a problematic connection between Gabbie and the audience themselves, at least some individuals in that audience, had done bad things that you could not excuse as just a Gabbie Hanna problem. And look, I know I'm not going into all of the specific details here. The main reason I'm speaking about this is because of what it sparked afterwards. Because yes, after this, more former fans came out giving their experience with Alyssa the fan, and yeah, it went into a lot of toxic behavior and a lot of bad things that allegedly took place. And again, that isn't the main story of why I'm here today, but I just needed to mention that basically there was a big storm kicking up. A lot of people were talking about this, a lot of people were mad at this Alyssa individual, and of course a lot of people were mad at Gabbie Hanna in particular for just allowing this community to fester, but also engaging in the community and actively contributing to it, which yes, whilst you can say that certain individuals shouldn't have done certain things, you can also state that a lot of that did come from the fact that they were trying to appease their favorite content creator, because naturally a lot of fans out there, regardless of their age, do want to do anything they can to get to a content creator who they are a fan of and befriend them. They have that parasocial connection, but they now want to make that a genuine, real connection of friendship, which obviously is inappropriate and is wrong, and a content creator should absolutely acknowledge when a fan has, you know, a minimal connection to them and then an inappropriate connection to them. And yeah, with that, it led to the main topic of today's video that I'm sure you've heard about at this point, and it involves the Jen individual that we previously referenced. Because yes, on June the 21st, 2026, Jen Dent released a video titled Gabbie Hanna Tried to Ruin My Life and I Have Proof. Now, naturally, a title like that is going to get a lot of attention. I immediately received so many DMs about this video being like, have you seen Jen Dent's video? Have you seen Jen's video? And I'm not going to lie to you, I was like, guys, I don't know who Jen Dent is. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I just feel like sometimes people feel like I know every like bit of drama on the internet. I get people DMing me all the time being like, why have you not covered this? Why have you not spoken about this? Like, guys, I know I make videos about things on the internet, but that doesn't mean I know, honestly, even 90% of the things going on in this community. I genuinely, I make my videos and I leave. That's as far as it goes. But, you know, I decided I'm going to look into this. I'm actually going to get invested. And yeah, this is a very explosive video, and it almost made me feel bad that I didn't know who this individual was, because Jen Dent is somebody who has been dealing with a actual very real campaign of harassment against her for over half a decade now. I genuinely could not believe some of the things that I wasn't just hearing in this video, but also seeing, because yes, there are receipts in this video, not just messages, but actual video clips of Gabbie Hanna seemingly getting her fans to harass Jen Dent and to spread some of the worst possible things. But I think what makes this even more insane to me is that in some of the clips that is referenced and shown in this video, it isn't just Gabbie Hanna saying, oh yeah, do this, in sort of like a nonchalant manner. It is a very calculated thing that Gabbie is doing. What I noticed is that Gabbie was basically planning on bringing down this individual who, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know who this is. I've only recently discovered Jen Dent. And yeah, I've done my research now, but I didn't know who this individual was. And I think that's a big indictment on Gabbie as a person, to be honest with you. Because Jen Dent isn't this massively known social media content creator. It's not an Adam McIntyre who Gabbie Hanna famously hates. Yet some of the things Gabbie was doing to try and bring down this individual, it's genuinely insane. Like, this is some of the wildest, most disgusting stuff I think I've seen in a while, and I don't understand it. Like, I don't know what was even going through Gabbie's mind at this point of time, and it does just make me ask the question of, what was she trying to get people to do about people who are actual major content creators that she has beef with, likes of Angelica or Adam, as I mentioned earlier? What was she saying to the fans there? And I know you haven't seen the context yet, but I'm just trying to preface it before we actually get into the video. But yeah, let's actually get into the video, where at the very beginning, Jen shows a ton of clips of Gabbie asking people to spread rumors about Jen being, well, one of the worst possible things you could be. For YouTube TOS, I am going to have to try and get around it so this video doesn't get age restricted, but pretty much Gabbie is trying to get her fans to spread some of the worst rumors possible that you could spread about someone. She's trying to get people to think that Jen is a criminal, and one of the worst criminals at that.
Naysayers say you have to leave it in the past. All of these people haven't spoken about you in years. But the thing about slander is it's not a single attack. Slander is designed to ruin your life. It's designed to ripple into every single facet of everything you do. It's meant to ruin your reputation. So it's not something that, well, that happened to you years ago, you got to get over that. No, slander is an ongoing attack. Are people tagging Jen in it? Like, are people tagging Jen being like, hey, did you this little girl? This cannot come from me, Gracie. I just found the tweets. Make that shit go fucking viral.
Dude, I hope that girl responds so much. Or whoever that person is responds about that little girl. It's so fucking crazy.
I mean, when there's an accusation, it gets pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on me. So like maybe it needs to get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on her.
Yeah.
See if she finally responds to it. See if people pick up on it.
Yeah. I think she's seen it.
Maybe tag people like Primink or Shannon or Not Another Drama Channel, that SM Creep show. Like, maybe start tagging them in that shit.
Dude, all these people, I really hope this person has some type of like evidence, which I'm sure they don't. Like, that would have been years ago, right? Like, if Jen Dent was like little girls, it would have been years ago. Like, what receipts are there? But I'd love to hear the story.
And I think that's a perfect summary to kind of get into this video here. Right at the ending there, she asked the question of what receipts are there, and she's immediately responded to with none. But as you saw, she was going around to so many people telling them to spread certain pieces of information, but also the fact that it can't get back to her. She was trying to get people to go to drama channels like Primink and other individuals out there to, I guess, try to get them to make videos about this Jen Dent person, which is quite insane to me because Jen Dent, as you can see from her social media profile, while she does have 33,000 subscribers and she definitely does have content on this platform, but I wouldn't necessarily say Jen is a significant content creator. And I don't mean that to be demeaning. I more mean it to actually kind of back her even further, because it's so insane to me that Gabbie, whilst at this point of time was a millionaire, was somebody who was earning lots of money, but she was still taking her time to come after someone who, in terms of social media, wasn't exactly a known person doing really anything to Gabbie's reputation. Yes, she does have multiple videos about Gabbie Hanna, but realistically, a video with 400,000 views isn't going to absolutely set the world alight when it comes to Gabbie. But unfortunately for Gabbie's sake, what is going to set the world on fire is some of the things stated in this video. And it all starts off with Jen explaining how this situation even started in the first place. And of course, it all begins with criticism of Gabbie Hanna. Now, infamously, Gabbie Hanna is one of the best people when it comes to criticism. She absolutely can handle it so unbelievably well, and she definitely doesn't lose her mind every single time somebody says something slightly negative about her. Now, obviously, I'm being sarcastic here. Gabbie Hanna has at some point sent out books for reviews, and when she didn't get the review she liked, she crashed out on social media and called the person a bunch of nasty words. So yeah, I'm not really shocked that this all does begin with Gabbie Hanna not being able to accept, I don't know, talk or criticism.
Let me refresh everybody's memory on Alyssa and how I met Alyssa and how I even know who the she is in the first place. I'm not even going to try to remember what was going on between Gabbie and Jessie at this specific time. It was summer 2020. We're on Twitter a lot. There's a lot going down. And yeah, I ran my mouth constantly. I'm never going to even say anything different. I have always talked about Gabbie because Gabbie deserves it. Gabbie is a piece of shit. Gabbie is the worst person on this planet. So yeah, I was talking a lot of shit on Twitter, and there were a group of stans that were just absolutely asinine crazy. The main one that I remember is Alyssa. There was a girl named Skia. There was somebody named Tyler. There was a Monica. There was a Lisa. And then there was Gracie. And we're going to talk about Gracie in this video. But Alyssa was just off the chain from the very beginning. I mean, she just never stopped. It was nonstop. Boom, 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 boom. All day. If you blocked her, she made a new account. That's how I got to know Alyssa in the summer of 2020, when everything was really coming to a head between Jessie and Gabbie, and there was just so much going on, and Alyssa was just front and center, just constantly, again, harassing, trolling, saying the nastiest, talking about had no idea. They all do that. They all talk about the Gabbie and Jessie situation as if they were physically present in every room of every situation that went down. They know more than anybody. You can't tell them. And throughout all of this, I saw that she does music. And I use that term very, very loosely. She had some music videos up. And so I went and looked at one of them, and my God. And I ended up posting it and just like saying, oh, this is a bop or whatever. I eventually was like, I'm just kidding. This is absolutely horrible.
You can't stop the flowers blooming. You can't stop.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm looking at right now, but this is the extent of what Gabbie's fans were posting on their social media. And look, you know, is it crude to say something like mean about them making music videos like that? Honestly, I don't really care. I don't think it justifies any harassment campaign whatsoever. If you're going to get into a argument on Twitter where you're both saying nasty things about each other, look, at the end of the day, that's just Twitter. It is a bit of a war zone. But obviously, we know it didn't just end up as a bit of a beef on Twitter. It went way, way worse than that. But of course, we've got the origin story of how this began. Jen was just running her mouth on Twitter about how she doesn't like Gabbie Hanna. At the point of 2020, there was certainly a lot of criticism going around about Gabbie that I mentioned earlier. This was pretty much at the height of the original Jessie Smile situation with Gabbie. A lot of people were talking about it, and obviously Jen had a lot to say, which I think is perfectly fine, but obviously the fandom and Gabbie didn't think so. And that starts off with Gabbie's fans seemingly getting into a lawsuit situation with Jen, and this is a bit of a confusing timeline to follow here, but yes, now let's get into the situation of where Jen was in a lawsuit debacle with one of the fans in relation to the music video that was posted.
It made her so mad that she, first of all, says that I told her to, which absolutely did not happen. I invite you to find that screenshot. Did not tell her to herself, but she got so mad about me posting her music that she decided to send me a cease and desist. And instead of me telling that story, I'll just let Alyssa tell it.
I released a new song and Jenna told me she liked it. She then went and claimed it was and that she shared it as a joke. From this point on, she started talking about my bad singing and kept posting my song, which is my own intellectual property. On August 10th, I sent Jen a cease and desist for intellectual property, and on August 11th, she responded with her signature. Jen likes to tell the story as if I forged her name onto a cease and desist, but what she always fails to realize is that she sent her email titled response with an attachment. I advised a legal notary, and I advised a lawyer after the fact just to make sure. I was in the clear. On August 12th, Jen sent me a cease and desist for defamation. In this, she asked me to, and I quote, "Please find attached a request to cease and desist defamation, slander, and or libel. Details are in the document. Sign it and send it back to me. My lawyer is involved now. Thanks." I replied by telling her to kiss my ass. She replied by telling me I had 10 days to sign it when it comes to my door. This confused me because first off, she doesn't have my home address. And second, mail? What? You have my email. You can do literally what I did. It is just as valid and just as legally binding. And I just want to say, just because you don't agree or like someone does not mean that a notary, 2 lawyers, all of them are lying. Like, the evidence is all right here. So you can either continue to say it's fake, or you could just accept that I sent you a cease and desist.
Nobody said you didn't send me a cease and desist. I said you forged my name on that cease and desist, you clown. So there's that story about her forging my name. And yeah, a cease and desist, how valid could it be? Whatever. But she actually cut and pasted my signature onto that document. And in that document was like a list of things I had supposedly done, like offenses, and then a list of things that I agreed to. And she put my name at the bottom, and that just was not cool with me.
Now, of course, what's being described here is a crime, and it is something that should be taken very seriously. And crime is something that comes up again and again in this video, because basically Jen has been falsely accused of so many different things. As you're going to see in this video, like I mentioned earlier, she has been at the forefront of a harassment campaign for so unbelievably long now, and people could say, oh, maybe Jen's being dramatic and saying Gabbie is the worst person, but at the end of the day, if somebody was doing this type of thing to me, if their fans are doing this to me, I would probably think the exact same thing, especially when you get into Gabbie's contribution to this story. Because yes, around 15 minutes into the video, Jen starts to tell the story about how Gabbie allegedly convinced one of her fans, Gracie, that Jen was one of the worst possible things. I know it's frustrating that I can't, describe it, but YouTube TOS, dictates things. But yeah, she tried to get this person to think that Jen is a criminal and even tried to convince them to publicly speak up about it, which is just utterly insane considering Gabbie is one of the biggest content creators on the platform. Well, not one of the biggest, but she is a significant content creator at that point of time. Like, you've got to think, this is only taking 1 to 2 years after Gabbie Hanna featured on Genius explaining her lyrics to her terrible song Monster. Like, Gabbie was fairly mainstream at this point of time. That's why a lot of the stuff that took place in 2020 was so shocking to a lot of people, because Gabbie was a significant content creator. She was getting millions of views a video at that point of time, and videos about Gabbie were getting millions of views a video too. So getting into what Jen speaks about here, it's just utterly insane to me given all of that.
One thing this person said was that Gracie was pretty much used by Gabbie and discarded. And I do have an old comment that was put on one of my videos regarding that. I know the lore with this one, sadly, as someone that used to support Gabbie. There was a fan named Gracie that Gabbie manipulated into thinking Jen was a privately in DMs and managed to make Gracie speak up publicly and spread this allegation. Gabbie watched Gracie get sent so much hate for spreading this allegation, and instead of checking on her, she just watched it all go down. She loves to have her fans do her dirty work for her and then claim she herself didn't do anything, because in the public eye, that seems like an accurate statement. Now that she's lost most of her fans, she's doing the dirty work herself publicly. Anyway, Gracie almost herself because of the hate, and Gabbie reached out to her and asked if she could use Gracie's attempt and mention it in her 2020 comeback video to make a public point that my fans get harassed to this point for simply supporting and defending me. If you watch that video, Gracie's attempt, without being named, is mentioned. Gabbie is disgusting. She was never with us, as far as I know, but she groomed us like colleagues.
Now, when I first saw this comment being read out, I immediately thought to myself, oh, well, this is just a comment. This isn't necessarily evidence of anything. And I was about to kind of honestly switch off the video. I know that does sound it's a bit of a lesson to me personally to actually watch the video fully through, because, there are a lot of videos out there where somebody exposes a content creator and you're just like, this can't be true. But no, Jen did something that a lot of people need to start doing, and she just immediately went to the receipts. The receipts are genuinely insane, by the way.
Hey babe, I had a question. I'm writing my comeback video right now, and I'm just talking about how got crazy after I got off still, and part of me was just trying to just show how crazy these people are. I'm making a list of all the they did, like how they were collecting people's personal private conversations from when they were venting in the Discord and contacting their families and stuff. And obviously only if you're 100% okay with this, and obviously I wouldn't say your name, but would it be okay if I said something along the lines of like one of my fans relapsed with an attempted because she was under extreme duress from these people. Obviously it's only if you're 100% okay with it. One of my fans who's been along the ride, oh god, she's been around for ever, she's best. She had a relapse with her and attempted because they contacted someone they shouldn't have and put her under extreme duress. And now she's in a rehabilitation center. Like, this is not some weird troll internet fun. These are
seriously dangerous people, and I'm not even here, and every day it's a new drama that they're trying to create still.
I think what's truly despicable about what's said there is Gabbie clearly does not care about if somebody was in a rehabilitation center or not. She was just wanting to use that point as a scoring point to get people back on her side, because naturally saying the things that she was saying there would convey an emotional response, because you would think to yourself, okay, maybe this is going too far, the fans are getting affected in this way, maybe we all need to take just a breather and relax in this situation. And obviously that was Gabbie's tactic here. That was her manipulative tactic to get out of all of the criticism at that point of time, and also an attempt to smear the people criticizing her in the worst possible way. But yeah, what was said there very much does line up with what was being alleged in the comment that Jen was reading earlier. And yeah, after this, Jen does start to explain how this accusation towards her originally began, and that it did come from this Gracie person, and how there was a mystery account going around retweeting certain things, being retweeted on some other cases like that, and it was very much a mysterious scenario of who was actually behind these allegations. And yeah, there are going to be a lot of people out there making a lot of claims of who was this mysterious account. I'm not going to say who I personally think it was. I would just allow the video to play and people to build their own conclusions.
So as far as Gracie goes, I honestly always felt bad about that. I did recognize that for whatever reason, this adult had been encouraged or influenced to do this. What Gracie initially tweeted was, guys, I think Jen may have somebody, or guys, Jen may have someone. And she retweeted that tweet from that crazy account that literally to this day, I don't know who that is or what they're talking about. To be honest, I think Gabbie is behind that account. It's just totally crazy that somebody would tweet all that and then just disappear, never respond to any questions. Like, I myself even sent that account a message and was like, who are you and what are you talking about? So I just truly believe that was Gabbie or Peyton that made that account. But I always felt bad about Gracie because as a nurse and just a person in general who has dealt with many things in my own personal life and with people I love and know, I know what it's like to struggle with something and then to just have things piled on. I know what it's like to act out when you're not happy in life or things are not going well or you feel like you don't have any control. And so I felt bad for Gracie, and I always did feel guilt if she had to go to any kind of treatment for anything I said or did, because I really did go hard at her. But people were literally calling a job I didn't have anymore. And something I've never told anybody, I don't think, is that I had interviewed for a company that I had worked for in the past. This was in the pandemic when all this happened. I had already lost my second job that I had to make ends meet because of COVID. That company shut down because we weren't allowed to go visit people in their homes. And so I had interviewed for a position that I had in the past. And it was a really good interview. I had great references. There was no reason for me not to get the job. I was told, we'll call you back next week and basically let you know. And I never heard back from them. And I even reached out to my reference who worked there, who had told the people about me. She's like, that's very strange they never called you back. Well, these stands had called that place based off of my LinkedIn, and I had worked there in the past when they called them. So maybe that had something to do with it. But these people were actively calling my job or a job I didn't have anymore. And they were bragging about it online. It was just also how much it was being retweeted, how much it was being stated as a fact. There were articles going up online about it. You know, the people that follow online drama, there were articles up until maybe a year ago or so. If somebody was Googling me and put the time in and was scroll enough, these things would come up about Jen Dent and a allegation. And so it has bothered me ever since it happened.
It's genuinely really sad to see that Jen had to go through this. As I said, I don't know who Jen is, but the fact that she was put through such mental strain, having to deal with so many people out there spreading such heinous allegations against her, is just utterly despicable, to be honest with you. And there's nothing I can really say to convey how disgusting I think this situation is. But when you get into Gabbie Hanna's contribution to all of this, it really does make this unbelievably worse, in my opinion, because I feel like there is something that everybody has always kind of acknowledge when it comes to fan bases. There are always parts of fan bases which are a very, very minute part of a fan base, but they're always the most vocal ones who are, typically the most insane ones. In a lot of fan bases out there, you will get people doing just some horrific, disgusting things, which isn't, of course, a representation of everyone that was in that fan base. I'm sure I have people in my audience that were at one point a fan of Gabbie Hanna. I even have former Onision fans in my audience. Do I think that they're bad people for once supporting somebody like Onision years and years ago? No, obviously I don't. Yes, I, maybe question their music taste, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're bad for supporting someone who at that point of time wasn't widespread known as a bad person, and the same can be said about fans in Gabbie Hanna's fan base. So whilst this is, a terrible story, it is disgusting and I feel bad, at this point it does mainly seem to be crazy fans going around, but obviously we have seen the clips of Gabbie at the beginning of this video. We know it's going to turn into a lot more than that. Because later on in the video, Jen actually speaks about how she reached out to Gracie, saying that she believed that Gabbie may have influenced her into making the tweet accusing her of certain things, and Gracie wrote an email back stating that Gabbie having a heavy influence on her was an understatement. Gracie was going through a really hard time, and Gabbie gave her a lot of attention and also money. Every once in a while, Gabbie would ask her for small favors or to vent to her. And some of the stuff here is genuinely insane.
I decided on June 5th I had had enough. Seems like it's never going to stop. What else did I have to lose at this point? So I followed Gracie on Twitter. And then I sent her an email. Hi Gracie, I hope you are doing well. I was hoping to have a conversation with you. I would like to talk about the tweet that accused me of sexual assault. It is my belief and understanding that there was heavy influence surrounding that situation, and I would really like to understand better. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation and the never-ending cycle of Gabbie showing up every few years writing or attempting to rewrite the story. I would appreciate a conversation that could bring clarity and closure to both of us. If you are not comfortable, I understand. Just know that I believe this could stop the cycle for once and for all. Thanks, Jen. And Gracie wrote me back.
Hi there, Jen. I hope you're well. I'm definitely open to having a conversation about this because the whole time really traumatized me, as I'm sure it did you too. Saying it with a heavy influence is an understatement. To give a little bit of more context into our relationship, I'm not sure why she first started constantly replying to me as a fan, but it was really exciting. Close to 2019, the dynamic kind of changed. Personally, I was going through extreme anorexia and struggling with substance and drug use and dealing with the death of my partner at the time. I lost my job, apartment, and I had to take a leave from school to go into a treatment center. This is very important to the story because when she heard about these things I was going through, she started sending me money, gifts in the mail, and talking to me more constantly, and basically telling me she would financially support me through this time. After that, she would ask me for favors here and there, which quickly turned into receiving over 50 messages a day from her. She would spam text me during breakdowns talking about wanting to die and things like that. Some mornings I would wake up to a mental breakdown spam in my inbox. And I guess from the headspace and the amount of substance use I was engaging in, plus the money and the attention, she had me doing everything for her at a certain point because she had me genuinely believing also that she was innocent and that she innocently needed the help. We would video chat using this app, and I did save all the messages, and I have everything, including videos of her finding evidence and begging me to post it. And then fast forward to when the drama channels heavily picked up on this, my issues and usage had led to me being in a residential treatment center. I will say the online drama definitely triggered me, but I had so many untreated issues still that I was dealing with, which was the main thing going through. And while I was in the hospital for my behaviors, she asked me if she could use my mental breakdown for her comeback video. At this point in the center, I was allowed my phone 20 minutes a day for about a 3-month period while I was in there, and I wasn't really able to help her much anymore in the way that I was before. After I got out of treatment, the last time, she pretty much ghosted me. I confronted her multiple times, and she pretty much told me I was incredibly parasocial and imagined our friendship because she was nice to a fan. It felt like the textbook definition of gaslighting, and she said so many lies to me about how her messages meant one thing and not how I perceived them. She then unfollowed me everywhere and told me she wasn't comfortable around me, and then invited a friend of mine, who was also another fan account, to her house and officially hired her. It was a really awful time for me. I even was in EMDR therapy after all of that because of the things she said to me and put me through. Also to Jen, I'm sure this wasn't easy for you either, and Jesse. So understand that everything I'm saying here is not to discredit the pain or experience or say that mine was worse, but it is important to know how complicated our relationship was. This has weighed on me for a really long time, and I've always wanted to reach out to you, but was scared to. I felt like you didn't want to hear from me, and I honestly, for a long time, was scared of what Gabbie could do with her influence of followers if I posted something like that. She was the reason I was doxxed after she used my name publicly, and there were people threatening my sister. I know this is a lot. It barely even touches the surface of our relationship. I apologize if it's too much, and I'm open to any more questions if you want. And I just want to say a little thing at the end. I don't want any of this to come across wrong.
Now, yeah, obviously this is extremely disturbing in my opinion. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think it can be normal to speak to a fan now and again, a message saying hope you're doing well, something like that, a thank you. You know, I think that can be normal, but what we're dealing with here is not normal. This is not a regular emotional connection that a content creator or any celebrity or anybody should have with a fan. This is absolutely beyond parasocial. It's just outright inappropriate in my personal opinion. And to also just see the emotional journey that Gracie had to go through in their friendship with Gabbie Hanna is genuinely disturbing, with it leading to the gaslighting that Gabbie did. And I think it's hilarious that Gabbie did try to deny their friendship, considering some of the messages here that she sent to Gracie, such as "you've supported me forever emotionally and financially." There was also mentions of paying for certain things, and Gracie replying with, "wow, I could cry right now because I've never had anyone be so nice to me. I could never take that much from you, Gabbie. I'd feel so bad." There's even messages of Gabbie speaking about rallying the troops because she's so frustrated that her blood pressure is now boiling about a certain thing going on. And it's like, how can anyone deny that there is some close connection here, some close parasocial connection? It's very obvious that it was, one, incredibly inappropriate, but also two, Gabbie was using these people. She was using these people as pretty much foot soldiers to do her bidding, to defend her, so Gabbie herself would not need to speak up. But also, more importantly about this connection with Gracie at this point was of course going around spreading a serious allegation, and of course that isn't Gabbie necessarily saying that word for word herself, but Gabbie still remained friends with this person, still remained closely connected with this person. I think that is, again, incredibly inappropriate. I think if you have any form of connection with a fan and you see that they're going around spreading a false allegation, you should obviously not be associated with that fan. But as we've seen, Gabbie not only chose to be associated with them, she was also contributing to it behind the scenes. And that gets back into the point of Gabbie using Gracie's story as some form of point that she was using to score with in her comeback video, which, given all of the context that we heard from Gracie just now, it feels even more disgusting.
I will say the online drama definitely triggered me, but I had so many untreated issues still that I was dealing with, which was the main thing I was going through. And while I was in the hospital for my behaviors, she asked me if she could use my mental breakdown for her comeback video. At this point in the center, I was allowed my phone like 20 minutes a day for about a 3-month period while I was in there, and I wasn't really able to help her much anymore in the way that I was before. After I got out of treatment the last time, she pretty much ghosted me.
Now, I know that's something that we have already played just now, but I think it's incredibly important to re-listen to after everything that we just spoke about, because to me, that is the finest representation that Gabbie Hanna was using these people. She didn't care about these people. She just wanted them to be her foot soldiers so she can use them in any way possible to get back at the rest of social media, to prove a certain point, to use their horrible, horrific things that they're dealing with as a scoring point in internet drama. This is one of the most disturbing things I think I've actually seen Gabbie Hanna do, and like I said at the beginning of this video, it still surprises me that Gabbie Hanna can lower the bar even further. But the bar only gets lowered when we get into Gabbie's contribution to Gracie spreading things about Jen. And yes, this is where it gets really, really dark.
This cannot come from me, Gracie. I just found the tweets. Yeah, sorry, someone just messaged me. Make that shit go viral, like as viral as you can within the community. Like, I'll send you the tweets right now. I need to figure out how I can message Gracie quietly and safely. Like, it has to be like, this cannot subtly. How is she gonna do it subtly? It just can't come from me. Like, I'm the only person it cannot come from.
Yeah, but it can't be like a massive blow up.
Yeah.
It can't be like 50 people sending it.
Yeah, you're right. It can't be everyone sending it at once. You're right. But it needs to get to people. It needs to be tagged to drama channels too. There's a lot of tweets that show like somebody's like accusing her of being a little girl. Like, it's kind of serious. So hold on. What, honey?
Yeah, good.
You don't think I should involve Gracie?
No, I don't think you yourself should.
I'm not. That's why I'm telling Gracie. I can't be involved. It cannot come from me whatsoever. So this account right here, Bungle X. Yes, that's me. No, I wasn't drunk. I assume that rape admission was a Freudian slip, but please, the truth will set you free. And then somebody here said, my internet's not working at all. Baby, can I just see it on your phone so I can show Gracie so she can go find it?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay. That account keeps tweeting that she like a little girl. Maybe you can message the account and see if there's any details, or also just like tell people about it. But like, it can't be sudden. It can't be big. I'll show you pictures of it when he opens it on his phone, but they're Bungle, Bungle X. Okay, so I will not rest until there is accountability for Jen Dent being a tiny innocent little girl. I don't care if it takes years, but everyone will know the truth. What are you covering? From who? Oh, okay. So, babe, first of all, it didn't show a second about, it's Gracie. What's she gonna do with your boss's name? Chill. So this is one of them. And then what was the other one where it was like you took girls to the little den? I guess this is some idiots talking about her being my friend. Remember when people called you Jen to the den? Your followers really deserve to know what you did, so own up, hypocrite. So yeah, I don't know, but get people on it. See if you can like get some answers. I have a drama channel looking too. Dude, all these people, I really hope this person has some type of like evidence, which I'm sure they don't. Like, that would have been years ago, right? Like, if Jen Dent was like being little girls, it would have been years ago. Yeah. Like, what receipts are there? None. But I'd love to hear the story. There's no receipts for anything that they accuse me of, so
this is some of the most insane things that I think I've ever leaked about a content creator. Now, this isn't Gabbie Hanna worrying that Jen Dent may have actually done something terrible. This isn't her, getting a story wrong and she was trying to do something right. This is just outright malicious for the sake of being malicious. This is just Gabbie trying to bring someone down. As we saw at the ending there, like I mentioned earlier in the video, she acknowledges there is no evidence. There's nothing here. And this is more just her trying to get back at people for supposedly coming after her, Gabbie, with no evidence. But this is not just internet drama. This is accusing probably the worst crime you could ever commit as an individual. This is the worst thing you could ever do, and she is just going around gossiping with her fans about this type of thing. And like I've mentioned throughout all of this video at this point, I was mentioning how this is just, fans going insane, fans doing wild things, but that happens in a lot of fan bases. And that's true, that does happen. But what you expect to not happen is the person who is a fan, who they're a fan of, getting involved, not just to a point of speaking to them about it, but going around and spreading this stuff in a calculated manner. We're hearing how Gabbie is speaking here, not getting her involved, making sure that it goes to certain accounts, but making sure it doesn't blow up in a certain way and doesn't blow up at a certain time, making sure that tweets come out at a calculated level of tweets and it doesn't just blow up at once. This is a planned thing, and I think that's what makes this so much more insane, in my opinion. Gabbie wasn't trying to do something good. She didn't think that somebody had genuinely committed a crime here and she was worried about people interacting with Jen Dent. She just wanted to ruin this person's life, and she used her fans to do that for her, specifically stating that she does not want to have this attached to her, doesn't want this to get back to her, doesn't want people to know it's about with her. but she was willing to get this to go to other content creators like Primink, for example. She was happy for somebody like Primink to pick up on the story because she was probably hoping that Primink would do a video for some reason about Jen Dent. Now, obviously, we know a content creator like Primink isn't an idiot. He wouldn't have done that, but this is what Gabbie was trying to do. And also, you're going to have to trust me here because Gabbie's deleted her Twitter account, but I specifically remember Gabbie making tweets back in 2019 and 2020 directed at Primink, trying to cozy up to Primink. I remember she was basically acting like Primink was one of the good guys when it comes to commentary and drama channels, and I specifically remember her trying to cozy up to him, which makes that even more insane, because back then, I thought she was just trying to cozy up to commentary channels like Primink and like myself to try and just, I don't know, maybe get people to defend her now and again. But from what I can see here, she was trying to get commentary channels to spread certain allegations about an individual who, honestly, as I said earlier, was not really known. Like, I don't mean to be condescending about this. This wasn't like it was content creator at war with content creator. This was just, oh, I don't like this person because they say nasty things about my content or me as a person. Like, you can not like that. That's fair enough. And you can even respond to that. But she was doing the worst possible thing you could do. And honestly, I think this is really creepy. I think this is such a weird thing, and I don't think I've ever seen a content creator act like this with fans. This is inappropriate, and I will say, whilst it isn't a similar crime to what Colleen Ballinger did, I think this is on the same level of inappropriateness, because what's going on here is the attempt to ruin someone's life, but also let's talk about the fact that Gabbie eventually disavowed some of these stands that she tried to use to ruin someone else's life, in the point of where she would gaslight them into thinking they were never actually friends and never had a connection, and it was just basically imagined. This is sinister, and whilst this was 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, I still think this is an incredibly inappropriate thing that needs to be talked about, because yeah, it's clearly still affecting Jen Dent. And again, this wasn't like Gabbie was trying to, I don't know, solve a crime or potentially, catch someone out who she possibly thought had done something wrong. This was just pure malice from the very beginning. But it only gets worse when more clips of Gabbie are shown, again, about this whole thing with the accusation towards Jen. And it's just disturbing, to be honest with you, to see her level of involvement. But I think not just involvement, but the fact that this was like insane fans doing insane things and a content creator amplifying that to not even just amplifying it. You can argue that Gabbie was the head honcho of this whole operation.
Are people tagging Jen in it? Like, are people tagging Jen being like, hey, to this little girl? Because, like, low-key, if we put a lot of pressure on her about that, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because, like, what if she speaks about it herself? You know what I mean? And then people start looking into it, like, well, why are people accusing you of being a little girl? Because, like, that's so random. So, like, should they be pushing her to do it or no? That's what they do to me. There was an accusation.
I thought you meant Gracie.
No.
I don't know what the right thing to do is.
I mean, when there's an accusation, it gets pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on me. So, like, maybe it needs to get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on her.
Yeah.
See if she finally responds to it. See if people pick up on it.
Yeah. I think she's seen it.
Maybe tag people like Primink or Shannon or Not Another Drama Channel, that SM Creep show. Like, maybe start tagging them in that. Yeah, of course she's seen it, babe. She's so obsessed with Twitter. Like, she stalks like crazy. I don't know.
No, yeah, obviously this clip was originally shown at the beginning of Jen's video, but now we've got the context of it. It just makes it even more insane because, yes, again, this isn't about her trying to catch someone out who she suspects of something terrible. This is just, oh, I don't like that you've said these things about me, so I'm gonna ruin your life. I know there's never gonna be a justification, but there's no like positive sitting on the fence argument here that you can even give. You can't listen to Gabbie's side because Gabbie's side is just pure malice and just utterly disgusting. And I think I'm just confused. Like what she thought this would lead to. Why would you converse with your fans in this way and operate in this way? This was only ever going to go terribly for you. And I just don't get why she would do it. She'll make an argument that at this point she wasn't mentally in the right headspace, but I'm sorry, I know people that aren't in the right mental headspace that don't go messaging their fans getting them to spread such horrible, insane things. What gets even wild is Gabbie actually gets into the conversation surrounding defamation and denying that this could be considered defamation, and it's so funny to me that she's even getting into that idea because, I mean, what else is this? This is the most obvious slam dunk case of defamation I think I've ever seen. I mean, surely this is actually like a criminal court case that could happen here. Like, surely this is something that could go to court if Jen really wanted to proceed with it, because this is, I can't imagine in America this can be legal, what she's doing here. I mean, even though it was behind closed doors, we've now got the videos to show what she was doing. This is an outright smear campaign.
Feel free to share this information with anybody who's worried. They have absolutely no case. They couldn't do anything even if they wanted to. In order for anything to be considered like defamation or slander, or for any type of legal action to be taken, one, you would have to publish it publicly. So like you would need to write a book, make a YouTube video, tweet, this person did this thing.
Y'all made sure to put it all over Twitter and retweet it and pass it around like it was factual information.
Which you haven't done any of. You haven't like gone out of your way to be like, this person. So you're good. Second, they would have to prove that you did it knowing that it was a lie. So like if you came to me and you were like, hey, like I know that Jen didn't actually do this thing, but I'm gonna like tell everybody she did this thing. Like, are we in this together? Okay, great. Like you would have to prove that that happened, because them saying it's not true, like the reason defamation is so hard is you have to prove that the person knowingly lied. So like in my case, like I could sue T-Spill for defamation or Dustin Daly for defamation because they had alternative information and they ignored it. So like unless you have some type of alternative information, like this Adam Bungle guy like came to you and was like, hey, just so you know, this isn't real, they can't do anything. And then the last thing is you never accused anybody of anything. You asked people questions, like somebody else put something out there and then you guys were talking about something that somebody else said. None of you guys made the claim. So those are like the three main things. You guys didn't make the claim in the first place. You guys didn't publish that claim, and there's no way to prove that you guys were saying anything that you knew was a lie. They're just trying to scare you. They're bad people. They're losers. Don't let them scare they're literally trying to scare fans on Twitter from speculating. Like they know, like what they are doing is what has been happening to me for how long now? Like they're so stupid, dude. Don't worry about it. You're absolutely fine. There's not a lawyer in this world that would try to sue you guys, and then if they did try to sue you for defamation, fun fact, they would have to pay your court fees because there's no way they would possibly win, trust me. And if they did take you to court and lost, which they would lose, they have to pay your court fees and your legal fees. So you're gonna be fine regardless.
Everything we get into in this video is just utterly insane here. Like, firstly, the self-centered manner that Gabbie gives here of basically being like, oh, everyone else has been doing this to me and they're fine. It's like, bro, you are so self-obsessed. It's genuinely insane to me. But secondly, this again is so unbelievably manipulative from Gabbie Hanna, because she's basically encouraging her fans to continue despite being told that Jen isn't the thing that they've been going around spreading, and she's basically saying to them, don't worry, you will not be sued for this. Which, by the way, yes, Jen did not go out and sue these people, but I absolutely fundamentally believe if she wanted to, she could have sued these people quite easily. They are going into public settings and public forums and saying some of the worst possible things you can say. And yes, if that's not true, which it isn't true, then it is slander. I think even the idea of suggesting it in a manner of where you clearly do think that thing is true could also be considered slander. But with some of the tweets that were going around the time of when these things were being spread, it wasn't just speculation, it was directly calling somebody a certain thing. Even retweeting something which is a direct allegation could be considered slander, in my opinion. Good God, do not listen to Gabbie Hanna for legal advice, but obviously they were fans. They were gonna listen to Gabbie because that was the person they wanted to be the closest to. We have seen how she interacts with her fans, and we have seen the close connection that she tries to have with them to get them on her side. And it's very clear the only reason she was doing that was because she wanted them to do her dirty work that she could not do herself, because if she did, this story would have blown up a long time ago. It's manipulative, it's calculated, and I genuinely think this might be the worst thing that I've seen Gabbie Hanna do. But what gets even more insane is after all of this, Gabbie did eventually make an apology, not to Jen, but to the stans or fans that were involved in this situation.
Then you just disappear after all this. You send little apologies, emails.
Now, the apology isn't read here, but as you can see, this was sent on July the 7th, 2020, and it says, I wanted to say sorry to you three for involving you so heavily in this. As much as I view you guys as friends and peers, it still wasn't fair of me to put you in that position, especially with that last situation. I was having a very emotional and exhausted response, trying to make sense of why this is and has been happening for so long. I really appreciate all your efforts, and I'm really sorry for dragging you into my chaos. In other news, we should all just do a WhatsApp group so we can stay in touch now that I'm offline, way easier than email. I'm not sure if Angel checks this email, so Chaz, please forward it to her. I know Gracie is off socials right now too. Love you guys, Gabbie Hanna. Now, despite everything that her fans were dealing with at this point of time, and by the way, that's not an excuse for the fans doing certain things, but it's clear they were manipulated. It's clear that they, whilst there is criticism that should be directed towards them, I think it's important to also acknowledge that they are victims in this situation. Yes, they have also done bad things, but they are still victims in the situation of Gabbie Hanna and her manipulation. Gabbie still persists. Gabbie still tries to persist in using these people and trying to convince them that they're friends after everything, and even in the apology that she's sending them, she is still trying to manipulate them, in my opinion.
Hey, wow, I'm so ugly, holy shit. I just want to apologize for really involving you in so much. Like, I know that, like, we're friends, and I was, like, leaning on you as a friend, but it was still it was just too much, and put you in a compromising situation. And I guess in my head, I was like, oh, well, Gracie's, like, relatively anonymous. Like, she's just, I'm on the toilet, by the way. Like, nobody's gonna, like, come for her. And obviously I was wrong, and obviously it's just like, I know you're saying that's not the reason you're gone, but it was a lot. So I just wanted to say that.
Turns out Gracie's not even in treatment for this. Gracie told you she was in treatment for other things outside of this. You asked to use her story as an example of how I went out of my way to ruin other people's lives. You just disappear. You fully acknowledge that. You've acknowledged that many times. And then Gracie reaches out to you and she's like, can we talk? Like, what happened? And you just blow her off. Tell her that she's acting incredibly parasocial, that basically you don't trust her. That's like why you don't talk to her anymore. You're sorry if she took it some other kind of way, but like you were just trying to help her or show her appreciation. But at the same time, you're apologizing for putting her through this. You make this girl feel crazy. You completely ghost her. She basically gets offline because she just can't deal with it. She doesn't even reach out to me. It takes all this time. It takes you coming back online and talking about Jesus and God. And, you know, Gabbie, when you were gone, we didn't talk about you or think about you. I know that drives you crazy, but it's the truth. I've had too many other things going on. People are raising families. People are out here being happy or fighting for their lives or both. When you had moved and gotten married, I was like, cool, that's cool. Wish her the best. When I saw that you were working in the real world, I was like, great. That's the extent of it. When you came back, I didn't even know until you decided to come back and use your new Jesus platform to still disparage, defame, and slander people. You talk about slander.
Naysayers say you have to leave it in the past. All of these people haven't spoken about you in years. But the thing about slander is it's not a single attack. Slander is designed to ruin your life. It's designed to ripple into every single facet of everything you do. It's meant to ruin your reputation. So it's not something that, well, that happened to you years ago, you got to get over that. No, slander is an ongoing attack.
I really hope this person has some type of like evidence, which I'm sure they don't. Like that would have been years ago, right? Like if Jen Dent was like being little girls.
It had to have been a long
It would have
time
been years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what receipts are there?
None.
But I'd love to hear the story.
Slander is designed to ruin your life.
Now, I think this is a perfect way to kind of conclude and wrap everything up here, because this is an individual who has perpetuated the argument that they are a victim of slander so much. They have said this whole line of, I am a victim of the internet slandering me for years now. And look, I'm sure people have lied about Gabbie in some instances, but from what we've seen, she has lied about people in the worst possible way and has tried to spread those lies in the most calculated, manipulative ways possible. We have seen the way she treats her fans. And again, I will say it, her fans, even though there is criticism that should be made towards them, they are also victims. I don't think that the crimes here are similar in the sense of what Colleen Ballinger did in the past, but I definitely think this is one of the biggest fan, interaction issues I've ever seen with a content creator on the level of Colleen Ballinger. There were people going into places to get actual help, and Gabbie used them, manipulated them, gaslit them. Despite knowing all of the trauma and things that they were dealing with, she still persisted in her horrible methods. This whole story is genuinely so disgusting, and I feel horrible for everyone involved, but mostly, of course, Jen Dent, that has had to deal with a situation that I'm sure for a very, very long time has affected her and is still going to affect her probably for a very, very long time. This is such a despicable thing, and when it came, into my DMs, when somebody messaged it to me, I thought to myself, this can't be true. This can't, like, when I heard about the details from someone else, I was like, there's no way, because it's so shocking. I still, after everything, gave Gabbie like the benefit of the doubt. I was coming into this thinking, surely there can't be that amount of criminal convicting evidence, but the more you get into this, the more just comes out and out and out. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if more insane fan interactions came out from this point of time. I cannot believe what I've witnessed, and I honestly am a bit surprised that this story hasn't blown up more, to be honest with you. I'm sure more people are going to talk about it, but yeah, that is Jen Dent's and Gabbie Hanna's other fans' experience with Gabbie Hanna. I can't believe it. Genuinely, one of the most insane things I think I've ever seen in my time on social media. And yeah, I think that's all I've got to say, really. Thank you very much for watching. I would genuinely love to know what you guys think about this. It's such a insane situation. Didn't think that we'd be going back to the 2020 era of Gabbie Hanna, but here we are. And yeah, I'd love to know what Gabbie has to say about this. If she'll ever talk about it, I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Please like this video and subscribe. And yeah, bye-bye.